Disclaimer, if you're a K.G.F fanboy who does not understand the very concept of logical reasoning or constructive criticism, then please just dislike this video and then leave. I don't want you on my fucking channel. But if you're willing to listen with an open mind to the carefully constructed points that I have for this video, then you can stay. But I have to warn you again, if you are a fanboy who is so brainwashed by peer pressure that it is physically impossible for you to construct your own opinions, then you should leave the video, because if you watch my video, all that will happen is that you'll just start boiling in fucking rage and then breathe really heavily when you type very fast on your mobile phone to leave a hate comment, which is not going to affect me. I'm an adult with common sense. Your childish insults are not going to affect me. Of course, if you have constructive criticism, then go ahead. Criticize my opinions in the comment section. I'm not saying that my opinion is beyond criticism. That's the point of the review. I review it, and if my review is bad, my review is also open to criticism. But I don't think anyone who has above room temperature IQ and a base level of common sense would actually disagree with any of my points here. I really don't see how any logical person could enjoy this movie. The only point that I can even think of that you could say for liking this movie is that it is so bad that it's good, sort of enjoyable. But I don't think that even works here, because it's not self-aware. It's not self-aware bad, it's just bad. But there are certain points that the fans of this movie used to defend it, and I'll be breaking those down, obviously. But before that, I'll start with things that I actually like. Number one, this is the main thing that I like about this movie, and that's the score. The background music is nice in some areas. It's not like a fucking revolutionary score that will be studied by musicians for decades to come as one of the best scores in movies. No. Is it bad? No, it's not. Is it good? It's good. And that's the first positive. The second positive about this movie is that it ends. That's right, if you suffer through 2.5 hours of physical and mental agony, it ends. And the satisfaction that you get when the nightmare ends, it is actually amazing. It is like eating butter chicken after 10 years of starvation. And also the ending itself is pretty good. I'm not talking about the ending of the movie, psych. I'm talking about when the credits start rolling, and the artwork, it's 2D artwork and it's pretty well done. The line work is awesome and the art itself is really well drawn. It's 2D artwork layered on top of each other to give like a 2.5D aesthetic, and it looks genuinely good. It's like the people who worked in this credits section, they are the most talented people who worked on this movie. Now let's get to the bad about the movie. Literally everything else. Everything about this movie absolutely sucks. And now before I get to the actual bad portion, I'll start by opposing the goods about this movie that fans put forth in defense for it. So the first thing I hear is, it's also the stupidest argument, so I'll start with it. It's just a Tollywood movie, bro. This is what Tollywood movies are like. How the fuck is that a good argument to defend the movie? What you're saying is that the entire Tollywood industry makes terrible fucking movies, and this is just another one of those terrible movies. So you're not supposed to call it a bad movie because you have to go into it knowing that it's a terrible movie. How the fuck is that argument supposed to prove that the movie is good? People have to lower their standards to enjoy the terrible movie that these creators are putting out. It should be the other way around. People should increase their standards and the industry should try to catch up. And even if, just say, okay, I'm supposed to think that Hollywood movies are bad, and thus watching this movie knowing that it's gonna be bad is somehow supposed to make me enjoy it. Let's believe that. Even then you're wrong, because there are Tollywood movies that are good, like Bahubali. Bahubali, I'm not saying is a perfect movie by any means. It has its fair share of problems, but there's no denying that it was a revolutionary movie for Indian movies as a whole, not just Tollywood. It took so many steps forward, and then K.G.F comes in with the generic old trash Tollywood recipe for a terrible movie, and then somehow becomes the most successful movie in India. The second thing that people say to defend this movie is that the BG is good, and that's right. I use that as the positive point. The BG is good. But as I said before, it's nothing revolutionary. It doesn't define the very movie itself. In fact, the tracks are pretty forgettable. I don't even remember the main theme of the main character, and that plays for like half the movie. I think it goes like tan, 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 tan. Okay, I do remember it. So yeah, it's not bad. Number 3, the cinematography and action is awesome, bro. Did we watch the same movie? And there are so many people saying this, that the action is good and the cinematography is good. I literally had to Google after watching this movie on what cinematography is, because maybe I was wrong. But then I looked into it, and yeah, I guess there is an argument to be made that the cinematography of this movie is good because cinematography is subjective, and some of the lighting textures and the art direction in this movie is okay at times. At least it doesn't look like an Indian TV show. But who the fuck gives a shit about cinematography if the videography itself is dog shit? There is not a single scene in this movie that is shot well. It's just the camera put extremely close to the characters with a lot of shaking and the worst editing I've seen in any movie ever. How many cuts were that? It is so poorly constructed, there's nothing cohesive in the action whatsoever. It's terribly shot. How are people praising this? How the hell am I supposed to enjoy shit like this when I'm used to watching stuff like this? And going from that to this, I hope you understand where I'm coming from right now. Again, there are counter arguments to this. Again, the first argument being, oh, don't compare this movie to Hollywood movies and stuff, which, as I said before, is a terrible argument. Like, you shouldn't lower your standards as a viewer to meet the horrible shit that the creators are putting out. And of course, another point that some of you retards will make is, so let's move on. The fourth point that the people use to defend this movie is that the dialogue is good. Again, did we watch the same movie? This movie has the most terrible, generic-ass dialogues ever with the shittiest fucking characters, which I'll get to later. I do not understand on what basis you're saying that this has good dialogue. Are you really so fucking stupid? Are your standards really so low that you hear this?
If you think you're bad, I'm your dad.
And you're like, damn, I got goosebumps. If you're bad, I'm your dad? That is such amazing dialogue. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I would understand this if this movie was going for that goofy tone. Like some of the dumb stuff that you see in Quentin Tarantino movies or even Bahubali. Some of the Bahubali scenes are definitely done as a joke. They're self-aware scenes. That's why it's supposed to be entertaining. But here there's none of that. It's just terrible generic dialogue and it's not even self-aware. It actually thinks that the dialogue is cool. Let me show you another example.
How dare you? How fair you? How dare you? How fair you?
Oh, she said, how dare you? And he switched the words up. He took the dare and put fair in. Like, how fair you? Because she is fair and fair is a compliment. So he changed the entire sentence by just changing one word. Oh my god, that is actually super clever dialogue. Yeah, I understand what you guys are talking about. The dialogue is amazing. Yeah. Just for the record, by the way, the previous cut where I was making fun of the dialogue was longer than literally any single cut in this movie. So that about concludes me roasting the terrible takes that people have to defend this movie. Now let's get to my criticisms, because boy, I have some. Number one, the story and the world setting, it makes no sense. This movie attempts to have lore in it, which is more than most Tollywood movies will do. At least it attempts to have lore in it, but it makes no fucking sense. There's this area, K.G.F, where gold is mined and no one knows about it. It's not like a secluded island or anything. No, they didn't even make the effort to do that. This is part of India's mainland. And no one still knows about this place. So you'd think they are somehow secluding themselves from the outside world, even though it's part of the mainland, so it doesn't make any sense. No, they literally go to the city, grab random people just minding their business, and turn them into slaves to work in K.G.F. The law enforcement, I guess, just doesn't exist in this world. It does, like we know that it exists, because it's not like a dystopian world or anything. It is just, it's like a portion of the Mad Max Fury Road-esque dystopian world, just thrown into our world. But those two types of worlds obviously clash. There's no way these two things make sense when combined. Why the fuck do people even live around K.G.F? Just run the fuck away. Go to another different place. Oh, it's hard to go to a different place. The main character just went to Mumbai when he was a fucking child. I think it's possible for anyone to move out of this place. And it's not just a small place either. It's an actual entire fucking district kind of thing with K.G.F, where just people are just brought in as slaves. I guess the government is in on it, but you can't just write a story where the government is actively fine with slavery of thousands of people. It doesn't make sense to have that plot line mixed with the rest of our story. Either make it entirely dystopian or make it entirely modern. Again, there are ways that this could have been done in a much better way, like turn K.G.F into like a fucking secluded island in Antarctica where human trafficking victims are just thrown in to work as slaves. But this is none of that. It is actually part of India's mainland, and civilians are just grabbed randomly to work as slaves here. It makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Number two, the main character is terrible. The main character is fucking awful. Like every character in this movie. There are no good characters, but the main character in particular is one that I hate a lot. He's not the one that I hate the most. I'll get to that. But in a movie that's entirely about lows, the main character is definitely one of the lowest points. Again, people like to defend him by saying, oh, he has an amazing presence. Oh, his acting is amazing. What presence? What acting? There is no acting. The main character literally has one face for the entire movie, and that's the stereotypical rape face. He's also entirely invulnerable, so there's no tension whatsoever in the movie. I guess you could criticize me for using that as a negative, or like other movies do that too, even in Hollywood, like John Wick and Kill Bill are good examples where the main characters are super badass. Yeah, I agree. When watching John Wick, I'm not worried, oh shit, will John Wick survive this? No, I'm not worried about that. Or like while watching Kill Bill, I'm not worried for Beatrix's health because I know she's not gonna die. Even the movie knows that she's not gonna die because part 2 literally begins with her going to kill Bill, so the rest of them are already dead, and we know that. But it's the how that matters. In John Wick, it's all about tightly choreographed combat, whether it's gun combat, whether it's hand-to-hand, whether it's knife. It's all extremely well choreographed in a way that's made to look believable, that John Wick is like this unstoppable force, not because he's a superhero or anything, but because of his skill. And he gets beat up. He gets his ass kicked all the time. Beatrix in Kill Bill is literally buried 6 feet under the ground, and all you can do is just think, well, how the fuck is she gonna get out of the situation? And we get an expansive backstory of her training arc to show that she can do the one-in punch to break out of the coffin that she's in right now. In K.G.F, there's none of that, because the action choreography is fucking shit, and the main character just never gets hurt. He's like Superman, put into a world where there's no kryptonite. He just walks towards them. He's entirely invulnerable to bullets, because for some reason, when the idiots see him move towards them, they can't even shoot. So they rush at him with knives and then die in the most comical way possible. I don't necessarily blame the actor playing the main character for bad acting. By the way, you can only play the character, right? You cannot write your character. And the character writing is just dog shit. There's only so much you can do. It's like judging Robert Pattinson based on his role in Twilight. No, his character in Twilight is poorly written. There's only so much he can do playing that character. Judge him instead by his work in Lighthouse or the other plethora of movies that he's acted in. And also, of course, blatantly promoting misogyny, as all male lead characters should do in an Indian movie. This guy smokes, drinks, and gets into violence. That is manliness. Yeah, you have to put up with that while watching shitty movies now. And to counter the extremely blatant misogyny and the terrible characters of this movie, the creators have this desperate attempt to include minorities. And it is so cringy. Oh, our movie blatantly promotes misogyny. What do we do to counter that? Oh, let's have a female character who's loud, obnoxious, and yells at men. She's our symbol of feminism and female empowerment. And also there's like Muslims in this movie. It's blatantly hammered into you that these are Muslims, and also hammered into you that these are good people, because you have to be extremely on the nose while showing the audience that, hey, look at these certain group of people. You see Muslims? Yeah. Do you know what they can be? Muslims can be good people too. It comes off as so pretentious, which it is. It is extremely pretentious. You're treating these people as a different species entirely to promote equality. Irony! Who is this even for? Like actual racists, they're not going to change their opinion by watching this. People who hate Muslims, right? They're not going to watch this movie and be like, in this movie, there are good Muslim people. So all of a sudden, I'm not racist anymore. That's obviously not going to happen, because if you're a racist, you're a fucking retarded individual who has mental issues. And if you're a normal person like me, you just feel weird when you look at these scenes and when these people are just treated differently. It's like the goofy ass scene in Avengers Endgame. She is not alone. It has been memed to oblivion because of how fucking awful that scene is. And this whole movie is that it's desperately trying to be politically correct while blatantly promoting violence and toxic masculinity. Now, coming to my least favorite character in this movie is the main character's love interest, also known as the female lead for some fucking reason. Take this character and remove her from the movie, and the movie would instantly be better. I would double my score for this movie if this character wasn't a part of it. And by doubling the score, I mean instead of a 1 on 10, the movie's now a 2 on 10. This is the worst written character I have seen in cinema history. So I already showed you the fucking dialogue, right? Like, how dare you? How fair you? That's the kind of dialogue that you can expect between the main character and the female lead. And the way the main character meets the female lead is because she's partying on the main fucking road by blocking the path. And apparently that comes off as her being independent and strong. So the main character falls in love with her. I'm not making this shit up. This is actually true. So then this chick calls to daddy and then makes his daddy's goons beat the main guy up. But of course, he's literally invulnerable. He can't be touched. So he beats all of them up. And then he kidnaps the female lead, which is supposed to make her fall in love with him. And when they're driving, she's talking about all this dumb shit about her, how powerful her dad is. And then the main character stops his car abruptly because there's a woman struggling on just grabbing a bun that is dropped on the road. So he stops his car, blocks the entire road to lift up the bun and give it to the poor lady. And now the female lead is in love with the main lead. I said before that the people who wrote this have no talent. I have to take that back. You need to have a special type of talent to come up with shit that is this awful. So when he stops the car, how does he just stop everyone in the road? Or he just puts out his hand with a gun in it. So everyone is afraid now and they won't say anything. In real life, people would just call the cops, but that would ruin the badassness of the scene when the main character is just publicly threatening murder to pick up a bun and give it to a woman, which she could have picked up on her own. Like she could just walk in front of the cars, pick up the bun, and then go on her way. And also they're using this as a means to show that both the male lead and female lead are compassionate people, because the male lead showed compassion and the female lead fell in love with the main lead because he showed compassion. When this dumb bitch literally blocked an entire road a night before, acting as a complete nuisance. What if there was an ambulance stuck in the roadblock that she caused? What if people died because of that? No, we don't need to think about that. And the main character is all about motherly love and shit. What if there was an ambulance stuck with a pregnant woman on the road that this bitch blocked? Would his opinion still be the same? I don't even need to use that example. What if when he blocked the road, there was an ambulance with people dying in it? Or there were people who had to get somewhere urgently? And somehow he's supposed to come off as a kind-hearted guy. This movie's so bad. It is so awful. There's also the main villain. What the main villain does is walk. Yeah, he just walks. And he kills people from time to time and he just walks. And we're supposed to think he's badass, I think. I don't even know if you're supposed to think he's badass. But I'm assuming it is the case because he has a good-looking beard, which every character in this movie has, by the way. That's another positive, you could say. Every character in this movie has a good-looking beard. I could grow a good-looking beard myself, but I chose not to because it's just a chore to maintain, which is a point that I'll bring up later. But yeah, the villain does nothing in this movie, and in the end, he just gets killed in the most abrupt way possible. So yeah, there's a villain. The movie has dumbass Looney Tune physics, the choreography sucks, and the writing, the fights are so poorly written. Like, let me give you an example of the terrible fight. So to enter K.G.F, the main character just rides his bike to it. Because, as I said before, K.G.F is not secluded or anything. Literally, you could literally walk in there. That's how dumb the fucking story is. It's so bad. Oh my god. But that's not what this is about. It's about the fight scene. So the main character just drives in there. And the guards, they all have guns. But the main character just comes flying in with his motorcycle, jumps off, and the motorcycle hits a car and explodes. Which is exactly what happens when motorcycles hit cars. And then, or the bad guys, they fall, right? And all their guns just magically disappear. Like, they had guns literally a scene ago, but there's no need for scene consistency whatsoever. And the main character just walks in, he uses knives now, and the guys just run towards him one at a time. Which is another thing that you'll see. The bad guys just run towards the hero one at a time. Like in Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy, the action choreography is pretty bad. Like when Batman is fighting a bunch of goons, he's usually fighting them one at a time and the goons in the background are just doing some goofy Fortnite dances to just look like they're doing something in our peripheral vision when you're watching it as a viewer. They're not even attempting something like that here. No, the bad guys will just engage the main guy one at a time. It's terrible writing. None of them have guns. He kills all of them, and then bikers come in. They have guns, but they drive towards him while shooting at him, shooting at his feet. Their aim sucks because, of course, your aim sucks. You're driving a fucking bike. Why not park your bike and shoot at him? No. No, no, no. Why would you do that? That makes no sense. You should drive towards him and shoot him. Who wrote the shit? How can you be so stupid? The action scenarios that I came up with when I was 8 years old playing with action figures was better than this. And the cuts that you're seeing with the action scenes, like fucking 7 cuts for 0.5 seconds, they're not just for the action either. The entire movie is shot like that. Whether it's dialogue, whether it's just exposition, whether it's flashbacks, everything is done like that. There's no cohesive scene flow whatsoever. There's no long cuts whatsoever. It becomes a chore to watch. I got a pretty big headache while watching this. Bahubali had some awesome extended action sequences where you could easily follow the action because it was, one take, very few cuts, and when there are cuts, the cuts just flowed seamlessly. It was at least shot well. The director knew what he was doing. In this case, it looks like the director just snorted a pound of cocaine before every shoot. Our generation, we've gotten movies working really hard to come up with scenes and shoot those scenes in a seamless, cohesive manner for an extremely good visual experience. And then we get shit like this that is being praised for no reason whatsoever. Getting to the main plotline, the K.G.F itself, the main character infiltrates it and he gets like a fucking brand on his back. But he infiltrates it to get information about it so that he can create an optimal attack plan when he clearly doesn't need an attack plan. Like, what are you trying to do here? Why are you doing this? A kid and the kid's mom die in front of the main character, and the main character doesn't do anything because he does not want to blow his cover. But when it happens again in the movie later, when a blind man is taken to be killed, he steps up that time. Nothing has changed, but he does it this time. And of course, he won't get hurt or anything because, as I said before, he's invulnerable. So why the fuck didn't he do that on day one when he infiltrated K.G.F? He could just walk in to the main villain's fucking castle that he's built in between K.G.F and then killed everyone. Like, it doesn't need any careful planning whatsoever. You've already established that the main character is completely invulnerable. Why are you trying to create this pseudo tension? It's meaningless. It is so fucking stupid. And the whole idea of this dystopian feel comes off as so fake. Because for all the time that the main character spends here, his hair is just perfectly flowing. His skin looks perfect. His beard is perfect. How the fuck is he maintaining this as like a fucking slave? Where is he getting the shampoo, conditioner, and essential oils to maintain that hair? Where is he getting the trimmer to perfectly do that beard? At least make it convincing. Like in Mad Max Fury Road. Oh my god, I just compared Mad Max Fury Road to this movie. I'm sorry, creators of Mad Max Fury Road, I've committed a grave sin. If there is hell, I will go there. Using Mad Max Fury Road as an example to show that K.G.F is bad is like using Elden Ring as an example to show why Babylon's Fall is bad. Everyone in Mad Max looks dirty, which is what you'd expect from a world that is just filled with piss, shit, and dirt. Here, the main character does not even have a speck of dirt on his face after 12 hours of labor, as the movie likes to point out. So yeah, that's my review on K.G.F Part 1. I'm not going to watch Part 2. So right now, it's 2:30 p.m. and I was actually supposed to be watching the Part 2 of this movie right now with my family. But I watched Part 1 yesterday night with my mom. And she fell asleep halfway. And she said, you know what? I'm going to go to bed. And then I was like, yeah, I'm not coming tomorrow. And then she was like, yeah, me neither. We did online payments for the tickets, so they're just wasted money. We're not going to get that money back. But actually, watching the movie would be a waste of both money and time. I would rather spread out that money and use it to collect my pubes while shaving than use it to watch this movie. So I was like, yeah, the money is wasted anyway, but I don't want to waste another 2 hours of my life watching the sequel to this abomination. I'd rather use that time to tell you why this movie sucks. And there's a reason I have to tell you why this movie sucks. I'm not going to sit here make videos criticizing every single new Tollywood movie that comes out. Most of them are trash, but I'm not going to make videos on all of them. I have to make videos on this though. It has over a 90% score on Rotten Tomatoes, and it's being widely regarded as the best Indian movie ever made. Imagine people of other countries and cultures watching this as the example of the best thing that India is able to put out in 2022. And then you wonder why people make fun of Indians and Indian media. This is Indian media, and this is what Indians enjoy. Of course, we will be made fun of. I know that Sanjay Dutt is a part of part 2, so which just makes it even more funny because I just made a video on Sanjay Dutt. I really won't be able to take that human being seriously ever in my life again. Now, if you have any constructive points that clash with my points that I made to show that this movie is fucking shit, then please tell me down in the comment section. But if you only have comments like, huh, who are you with only 400 subscribers making fun of this revolutionary movie? Okay, if you want to comment, then do it. But just know that I will judge you because you're a fucking idiot. But if you like this movie, do tell me the reasons. Again, the only reason I can really think of is that it's so bad that it's good. But if you actually genuinely think that this movie is a masterpiece, I still won't think any less of you, alright? Like, I won't think that you're stupid or anything. Don't subscribe to my channel if you think I'll be making more of these kind of videos, because I really won't be making any more videos on shitty Indian movies because they're shit. There's nothing to even say about why they're bad. It should be obvious. And it appalls me that people are actually comparing this to Mad Max. That is actually happening. People actually compare this movie to Mad Max Fury Road because they are both action movies. Am I overestimating it? Am I overestimating Mad Max Fury Road? Is it actually not as good as I remember it being? Let me actually check. Oh, okay, never mind. 1 Fermi-second of Mad Max Fury Road is better than the entirety of K.G.F. And then again, there are people who are just devoted members of the Telugu fandom, in which case I just don't understand why. Why do you want to associate your personality and the entire existence of your being to a particular piece of media? Are you so pathetic that you have no personality and you have to desperately cling on to something to feel like your life is worth something? It's similar to like people who don't do anything for the betterment of the country but are madly obsessed with political things. They're desperately clinging on to something to make their life mean something. Try to think for yourself. I know you lack common sense, but make an attempt to think for yourself. I used to be in your same boat. I used to be an idiot just following the crowd. Then I found that there are all kinds of different people out there, and having my own opinions is not a bad thing. I also realized that I can actually have opinions that matter. And that's when my entire view of the world changed. So try doing that. Try formulating your own opinions. If you like this movie, okay, totally fine. If you dislike this movie, don't fall for peer pressure and then just say that, yeah, this is a great movie. Similar to how Monster animes, right? It's like a big deal in the anime community saying, oh, Monster is a fucking amazing movie. I think Monster is bad. I don't even think it's good. I don't even think it's fine. I think Monster is an objectively bad show. If you want me to make a video on Monster, I'll do it. But yeah, don't fall to peer pressure. Don't have the crowd judge your tastes in anything, because then you won't like anything or dislike anything. You're just following a majority group of people. Your life is your own. You're the main character of your own life. Don't waste the one life that you get by becoming an NPC character. And that's about it. Thanks for the views.